right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back for another fun and exciting lesson in Speak Now 3 for GBS Beginner English. This is our third video. This is week 3, and this is lesson 3. Today, we're going to talk about we're both reliable. We're talking about characteristics that we can see and things that we cannot see. So let's get started and learn a little bit better about the different characteristics that we have. To start off today, we're going to start off with our weekly puzzle. Now, you may say, a puzzle? Why are we going to do a puzzle? Well, I want to give you a chance to learn something fun and different and have a chance to show your problem-solving skills. We're going to then do our student book, workbook, and wrap it all up. We're going to talk about characteristics. So, to start off with puzzles, what I have here, this is what's called a rebus puzzle. Now, a rebus puzzle is something that you may see around you in many different places. Part of your bonus homework, I'm going to say, is to go around and see if you can find any rebuses in everyday life here in Korea. And there are quite a few of them that you'll actually see. I'll talk about a few of them, but I don't want to spoil them. I want you to go out and find some. So we're going to start off with this rebus. Now, the words here say stand I, but that's not what is said here. I'm going to give you a second. Let's see. Can you figure out what this one says? Okay. Well, it doesn't say stand I. For this one, we need to work on prepositions. Now, for those of you who don't know what prepositions are, they help us state location and direction. So we got to find out where the words are. So we can use over. Over stand is over I, or I over stand. That doesn't work. Let's throw out over. Above, I above stand. Stand above I. No, that doesn't work either. Let's go the other way. Below, I below stand. No, that just doesn't work either. Under. Let's use the word under. Stand is under I. No, wait. Flip that around. I under stand. When you say it fast, it says, I understand. It's a rebus. It says something that's not just there. It says more than what's there. So what I have for you this week, I have two puzzles. Now, these are based on the same idea as that one that I just shared with you. Now, I'm not going to tell you the answers. You're going to have to tell me the answers in the quiz. And they will be two bonus questions. And if you can tell me what the answers are, you have to spell them correctly and you have to put them in the right place. But if you know how to do these two puzzles, then you'll be ready to do it. I'm going to give you a moment to try and figure it out, though. All right, so you can come back, pause this if you want, see if you can figure out these two puzzles. Remember, I'm not going to tell you the answer. And if you find the answer, don't tell your classmates. Moving on, let's talk about vocabulary for this week. We've got vocabulary, again, talking about characteristics of people. Now, some of these characteristics are positive and some are negative. I want you to tell me which ones you think are positive and negative. Considerate, meaning that you think about other people or you think about what is good for others. Forgiving, something where you are willing to work with others or make yourself understood for other people. And if they make a mistake, do you move on? Do you accept? It's like, okay, you made a mistake, let's move on. Now, flexible. Flexible has two meanings. One can be physically flexible, somebody who might be good at yoga, for example, or somebody who's flexible and willing to work and change things as things come up. Moody, somebody who they can be really, really happy one minute and angry and mad the next. Moody. Reliable, somebody who you ask them to do something, you know, if I ask you to do this, you say you're going to do it, it's going to get done. With reliable also becomes responsible. Responsible is when you take the duty to get something done and you say, yes, I will make sure this is done. Mature and immature. Now, these are opposites. Mature, somebody who acts like an adult who acts properly. Immature acts like a child or doesn't act their own age. Now, I act mature most of the time because I'm a teacher, but I can be immature when I want to be because at heart, I'm always going to be a child and I don't ever want to grow up. Never. All right. Now we're going to listen to the conversation between Sarah and Keisha. Now we want to know about how are they similar and how are they different, because they're not exactly the same. So take a listen. We'll talk on the other side.
Lesson 3. We're both reliable. Page 6. Conversation. A. Listen. Keisha and Kelly are sisters. How are they similar? How are they different?
It must be fun having a sister about the same age as you.
Well, sometimes it is.
How similar are you and Kelly?
Well, we're both pretty reliable, but I think I'm more reliable than Kelly.
Well, you are 2 years older. How are you different?
She's more flexible than me.
What do you mean?
She's the type of person who just goes with things. And Kelly is also really forgiving. She lives by the motto, forgive and forget.
All right. Excellent. Now, talking about brothers and sisters, and they're about the same. Now, I could describe my brother, and I probably will describe things about my brother, but I'll do that for you in class. I don't want to do it on YouTube. But we describe about things, and one of them is a motto. She says her motto is forgive and forget. I want you to think about that for just a few minutes while we listen to this conversation a second time. Now, as we listen to it the second time, there are a couple of extra sentences that I want you to try to figure out and write down to put into this one. We'll talk about the motto at the end of this.
It must be fun having a sister about the same age as you.
Well, sometimes it is.
How similar are you and Kelly? Or are you really different?
Well, we're both pretty reliable, but I think I'm more reliable than Kelly.
Well, you are 2 years older. How are you different?
She's more flexible than me. She's a lot more flexible.
What do you mean?
She's the type of person who just goes with things. And Kelly is also really forgiving. She lives by the motto, forgive and forget. I forgive, but I never forget.
Now, we can talk about the motto. Now, the motto is forgive and forget. And that is one that is a good one to know.
Objection!
It is a good one to know and a good one to live by. But forgive and forget means that you forgive something. Oh, it's okay. I don't remember it. I forget it forever. I don't agree with that one. I agree with the forgiveness. I think that you should forgive people for doing things, but I don't forget what happens. I may act like I don't remember. I may choose to pretend to forget, but I never really forget when something is done. This is important, especially when you're talking about things that are done in your life. If somebody does something bad to you, you can forgive them for what they've done, but it's up to you whether or not you choose to forget it. My advice is if there's nothing you can do about it, sometimes it's good to forget about it and just like, it's not worth me thinking about it. I'm just gonna let it go. Bad emotions only hurt yourself. Some things, yeah, I do forget. I remember them, but I don't remember them actively. They come up once in a while. I have a few things that have happened since I became a teacher that I remember them. I choose to forget them until they come up again, but they're still there. So moving along, we talk now about different ways that we describe similarities and how we describe it between people. Now, this is where we're using comparative. Oh, I'm more than this. She's better than this. We're using the comparative. When we use comparative, we're going to compare two items. We'll talk about superlative at another time, but when we're talking about comparative, we're talking about talking about two different things, how they can be the same or how they can be different. So we're both pretty reliable. Both of us have the same characteristic, but I think I am more reliable, using more than. Both of us are pretty flexible. She's flexible about things, but I'm not. She's more forgiving than me. I'm not as forgiving as she is. So this is comparing two things using the comparative. Now, consider the bottom. How would you answer for yourself? Now, we're not going to share this. You don't have to share this with other people if you don't want. But which of these characteristics do you think you have, and which ones you don't have? Be honest with yourself. Nobody's gonna judge you. Just be honest with yourself. Now, I want you to listen to how the stress in these words changes. Stress in English is when one syllable is more important than the others. For example, pronunciation. Pronunciation. Nunciation is more stress. Pronunciation. Where if I take out the ciation part and just make it pronouns. Now the stress is on the first syllable. Pronouns. Pronunciation. The stress moves depending on the word. Photograph. Photographer. We change the stress because we make the word longer. So listen to these words and listen to how the stress gets changed.
Page 7. Pronunciation. A. Listen and practice. Notice how the stress shifts when these adjectives become nouns. 1,
Flexible. Flexibility.
2,
Responsible. Responsibility.
Okay, so as you can see, ability, the ability to do something, we put the stress mostly on that particular part of the word. Now, listen again, listen to these words and figure out where the stress is in the words. Now, for a stress mark, you can just highlight the syllable that's stressed, or you can put a stress mark. Now, a stress mark, I won't show it to you here, but you can put a stress mark into your writing.
Page 7. Pronunciation. B. Listen. Mark the stress. Then practice saying the words. 1,
Mature. Maturity.
2,
Generous. Generosity.
3,
Sincere. Sincerity.
4,
Reliable. Reliability.
5,
Forgiving. Forgiveness.
6,
Moody. Moodiness.
Okay, now I want to bring attention to those last two words. The speaker on the CD, forgiveness. When you say it correctly, forgiveness. Give is where the stress is. Forgiveness. not forgiveness. Moodiness, not moodiness. Don't separate the suffix from the word, but we move along. Now, I want you to think about your family. How would you describe yourself? How would you describe the other people in your family? Who is similar? Who is different? When I describe myself, my personality, I am very much like my father. I am very strong-willed. I'm very organized. I am very opinionated, and I'm not super flexible. I'm more flexible than my father. And trust me, I'm more flexible than my father by a long way. But that's a different thing. As for my mom, I'm very similar to my mom in dedication and in reliability. When I mean I'm dedication, any group or project that I've gotten involved with, I stay and I work with that group until the very end. I give them my all. I don't just, okay, I don't care and give up. My mom was the same way. So what do you think about you? How are you similar to the different members of your family? Now, when we talk about the members of your family, I want you to think back to our lesson in lesson 1 about family. You can talk about the people that are in your immediate family, mom, dad, brother, sister. Who are you like there? But you can also compare yourself to the family outside, aunts, uncles. Now, we're not describing physical. I look like my mom. I look like my dad. We're not talking physical. We're talking personality, things that you're similar to. I have a sense of humor that's very similar to my aunt and my uncle. Now, it's my mom's sister and my father's brother. Both of them had amazing senses of humor. And my humor is kind of a blend of both of theirs. My aunt recognized the irony in situations and stupidity. My uncle was able to make and keep jokes going about many topics. I got the best of both of them. So I'm kind of a blend of them. Not saying that my mother and father don't have great sense of humor, but my father to this day, I love him dearly, but a joke usually spoils the punchline of the joke. Doesn't mean he's not funny. He's just not good at telling jokes. Whereas my mom was always good at jokes and being able to keep the suspense going. My aunt and my uncle, much better at it. And I inherited it from both of them. Okay, moving on. Let's go into our favorite and best part.
Objection!
No, you can't object to this.
Objection!
No, you cannot object to this.
Objection!
We're going into your workbook now. I know everybody's favorite part. All right, so we start off, and I want you to unscramble the words. Hint, this will be part of a quiz question where you'll see the letters and you'll have to spell and type the words correctly. Hint, hint, hint. I'm not going to tell you how to spell the words, but better learn how to spell them. And of course, you can use your book to spell it correctly. I didn't say that. All right, so how would you say these different characteristics? Now, once you've unscrambled them, use the words from part 1. Complete the sentences. So whenever you have a problem, your uncle is always here for you. He is very what? Put that in there and finish the sentence in the best way that you can. Now, it's possible there could be more than one correct answer, but use the words from the vocabulary list first. Then you can always add synonyms, words that mean almost the same thing later. Now, use the words from part 1 and 2 and write the opposite. Now, here's where it becomes a little bit difficult. Not all the opposites are in this book. There are many opposites or antonyms, the words that mean the opposite. For example, to make irresponsible into a correct word, we can use responsible. That is the correct opposite of it. But you can also come up with other words. So find out what are the ones that mean the opposite of the words that you have here. Now, we have our reading section. So let's go ahead and start with the reading section today. All right, now we're going to talk about family drama. Now, every family has a different amount of drama, and it doesn't matter who you are, drama is going to happen. Drama is just playing on emotions. We all play on emotions no matter who we are. So let's listen, take a listen while I read about the family drama. Dear Dr. Drama, I'm getting married next month and I have a problem. My brother and I do not get along. In fact, we haven't spoken in months. He's older than I am, but he is moody and immature. He is mad at me because of something very small. I borrowed his car one night to go out with some friends. I went a little too fast and we had a little accident. I hit a tree. And there was a small dent in the front and a flat tire. But that is easy to fix. You could still see through the crack in the windshield anyway. I think he should be more flexible and forgiving. Now, should I invite him to my wedding? Bummed brother. Dear Bummed, it sounds like you are the one who is immature. You crashed your brother's car. He has the right to be mad at you. Have you made a sincere apology? Did you offer to pay for the repairs? I think you need to be more reasonable. Apologize and invite him to your wedding, Dr. Drama. The advice here, I think, is very, very appropriate. The problem when you borrow something, if something happens, then you're going to have to fix it and repair it. There's no way around it. You're just going to have to figure out how to fix it, repair it, move on. Borrowing something, especially if you borrow it without permission, you're in for a world of problems. If you borrow something even with permission, you have an accident or something gets broken, expect to fix it. If you don't expect to be able to ever borrow anything ever again. So be sure you know what you're doing before you borrow something. So answer the questions. Who do you think is right? And who do you think needs to work on the apology? All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final section. Remember, you do need to write something down for this. And go back to that article that we just finished. And who do you agree with? Bummed or his brother? Why? And if you could ask Dr. Drama's advice, what issue would you like to ask about? In that, write a letter to Dr. Drama, asking advice, some real advice or imaginary problems. If you're afraid, it's like, oh, I don't want to put anything here real. I don't want anything to be real about this. Make up a problem. That's perfectly fine. Or write about a real problem. That's up to you. When you get to class, we'll exchange the problems and you'll talk about them and what advice you would give for that problem. So be ready to talk about it, even if you're not going to share a real problem. Make it something you're ready to talk about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for the end of today. You're doing a great job. We've come to the end of this lesson. In this lesson, I introduce you to the weekly puzzle. I introduce you to some Rebus puzzles. You'll see a few more of them this semester. Start thinking about them. When you know the answer, go ahead and put them in that quiz that comes up later this week. The second one, we talked about the workbook and student book. We talked about positive characteristics and how they can apply to us. Talked about the different sections of the workbook, and we're wrapping it all up together. Ladies and gentlemen, you've done an excellent job today. This is the second and last video for this week. Have a good and wonderful time, and I will see you in class. Take care and have a good time. Bye-bye.